Hi, I'm Yegi. I'm an entrepreneur and success coach who wants it all. Family, luxury, career, and the freedom to do whatever I want, whenever I want. And I'll do whatever it takes to get there. I created the Yegi Project to document my journey and inspire others to do the same. My mission is to change the world by influencing and leading others to do what they love and live fulfilled lives. Hello. Welcome back to the Yegi Project. Today's honored guest is Denise Rodriguez, who is known as Denise.Roddy on Instagram. She is just everything. And I've known her personally. Maybe 8 years ago, I connected with her and I was able to just feel like her good energy and spirit. And I called her a friend back then, even though I got introduced to her as a lash client. But today she has grown and blossomed into this beautiful human that she is. And I want to pick her brain and talk to her about everything she has going on and what she has to offer today. Denise, first, welcome.
Thank you.
And please tell our listeners, who are you and what do you do?
Hi, everyone, and thank you for that intro.
Yeah.
I love you. Yes, definitely a friend. Listen, I don't know. I was gonna prepare for this, and you know how usually you send questions, we just go over things. I didn't even do that. I was
we don't want to prepare. We're just want to have a conversation.
I was like, I haven't seen her in such a long time because, life happened, but I just wanted it to be a conversation with you. So
tell me, what's Denise Rodriguez? Yes.
And I do everything. I do a little bit of everything. So yeah, what has been going on?
So what's the little bit of everything? What do? You act like the people that don't know you at all.
Yeah, so I used to do entertainment reporting. I was doing acting and hosting. That was essentially what I was doing in my career, if we're talking specifically career-wise. And now I've just done a fully shift. I just, went through a lot of changes during the pandemic. I had a lot of time to just, wonder. And now my desires changed. So I say I retired from
from life.
I just retired from a lot of little titles. So, I left entertainment reporting. I left that industry on purpose. I left the modeling industry on purpose and hosting. Acting, I still dabble because I have myself and along with a lot of friends that are incredible creators and are producers and are working on their own projects. So I'm still open.
Fun.
We've had conversations, so I'm still open to the acting side if it's intentional, if it's gonna change the world, if it fits, yeah. But entertainment reporting, it just wasn't fitting anymore for me. The hosting side either, and the modeling side either. I just wanted to take more of a backseat. So now I'm producing a lot more and producing my own things.
And you recently launched the eBook, right?
Yes,
Can you tell
eBook.
us a little bit about that?
So I started writing in the pandemic, in 2020. I always kept a journal. Did you have a journal?
Yes.
When you were younger, you consistently?
Not when I was younger. So when I went on the journey of, okay, I want to be successful. So I went through this crazy phase of I'm going to learn everything and anything that it takes to be successful. But back then to me, what success meant was money. Everything else in my life was great. So I never even thought to work on anything else. But I wanted to be successful because I wanted to be rich because I thought that leads to everything else. But that very quickly turned into a study of happiness. So then I learned, and I'm still learning so much about what it takes to be happy in all areas of your life, to be successful in all areas, not only financially. So that's when I started journaling, was 2020.
So
not 2020. Hold on, 2010. Because it took me 5 years to work on myself before I launched my business, which was 2015. Dang, those dates feel like I'm so
I know, but you're not. You're not old.
Yeah. So that's when I started journaling.
What about
when I was 20?
Okay, so when you were 20, what about journaling when you were in high school, when you were in middle school? You never kept a journal?
No.
Like a diary?
No?
Okay.
That wasn't a thing
I
for
definitely
me.
did. I had a few.
Nice.
Yeah, and that's where, when during the pandemic, it's not that I stopped journaling because, I definitely dabbled into manifesting and that journey of creating your reality when I was in college. I remember me and my best friend, we were sophomores in college, and she's like, you have to watch this documentary. We sat down, we watched it together. It was The Secret.
Oh,
have you watched
nice.
The Secret?
Yes, of course.
The Secret. So we watched The Secret, and from that moment on, I started journaling about, future aspects. But journaling, just like my feelings and what I went through and that, I hadn't really done that ever since like high school. Well, during the pandemic, I just had a lot of time in my hands. Everything stopped. Acting stopped. Hosting stopped. Everything stopped.
And I just to get some clarity.
I was like, what do I do with my time? Yeah. And, I just had so much free time. And outside of just still creating in my own way, because I still do social content, I then dabbled into practices like meditation, journaling consistently. And I was then introduced to so many other parts of our life that it changed everything ever since then.
So talk a little bit more, like how did you get into that world? So the journaling, the meditating, spiritual world, right? You started like studying and practicing. Can you tell us a little bit more about like exactly what you did besides the journaling? I mean, that's pretty clear.
Right. So basically at the end of 2019, I was on set filming for this series that I did. It was a YouTube Originals. It was filmed in Puerto Rico, so we were on site. That's what they call it in that world.
Nice.
And so since I was on site, I was isolated. I feel like I had my pre-pandemic in that moment. And again, I moved to LA with very specific desires and dreams with my career and what I wanted to do with my life and what I saw success as and that. And part of that was booking going into acting and booking shows and booking movies and working for a specific network that I had dreamed to work for as an entertainment reporter. Well, during 2019, I got all of those wishes granted. All of those things happened. Thank you, Lord. I'm very grateful for the experience. But once I was on set, once I was in the mix of just that industry, it just wasn't what I expected.
Really? What was different?
Everything was different. Like,
did you think initially that's it? Like, once this happens, I'm going to be happy and everything's going to be perfect?
No, I think it was more like the feeling of being there. Okay. In my head, it was like, God, like once I'm, hosting for this network and being on the carpet and doing this, or once I'm on set and once I'm in my trailer and interacting on these movies, like I felt like it was gonna feel way different than what it felt. Once I was there, it just wasn't what it was. You thought it was gonna
feel like magical,
like life-changing in terms of me seeing myself doing that for the rest of my life. Like, yeah, I was expecting like a blown away emotion. And when I was there, I was like, I thought about I don't know why, but I literally thought about my children. I thought about motherhood, and I was like, would I see her here? Like, where are my kids going to go? I don't have any kids right now. I'm still single, ready to mingle. No, I'm open, but
perfect candidates.
Only for him. I want the one. So, I'm very much intentionally dating, but at that time I was also single, but I just thought of my kids. I was like, would I see like motherhood in this environment as an actress on site away from my family? I was away from home for like 4 months. So I was like, okay, like, is this really what she wants? And it wasn't. And then we went into the pandemic. Once I got back from Puerto Rico, we literally went into the pandemic. A few months later, I was still processing all these emotions. So I had a lot of time then to process them. And like, so
okay, well, now
here we go.
To figure it out.
Exactly. So I started meditating, and I never was a religious person. I was raised Catholic, but my parents weren't these huge religious, we go to church every week. We, study the Bible. We weren't like that. We just prayed. We prayed, and we would go to church on Easter, pay our respects, but that was about it. So I say that to say that it wasn't my initial response in a moment where I was kind of looking for a new direction to just sit in prayer and just talk to God. Like, that just wasn't ever my way of living. I was more of the practical thinker. So I got into meditating because that was the only practice that I found made sense with my perspective in life, because I was always a little more of a practical thinker back then, and I needed tangible, reasons. And of course, religion has its own thing, but it just, to me, there wasn't enough there. So I dabbled into spirituality, and part of spirituality is learning these practices like meditation to connect to God, source, the universe, whatever label you want to use. And that's how I started sitting in meditation. I would go into prayer, then sit into meditation and just sit there with myself.
Wow.
I learned to quiet my mind. I learned to control my mind, because of course everyone, when I talk to them about meditation, they're like, yeah, but my mind just keeps going. I'm like, I know it's not going to be easy, but you will get there. And that's the whole practice. Meditation is teaching you, and it's teaching you to quiet your mind. That's why you're doing it. So
what was your experience with it? Like, you would just sit there, and then if a thought would come, you would just kind of try to quiet it down and then like keep sitting there? Or what was your way of meditating? Because I know there's a lot of different ways people do it now.
Yeah. And I go into detail about this in the ebook course, because through meditation, I ended up writing again. I ended up, developing this book that I didn't think I was going to launch as a digital book, but it's fine. It's part of the journey, but there's definitely more coming.
Yes.
So in the digital course, this is a book that I put together within the last few years. And in the course, I go into this practice of how I get into a meditative state. So maybe it'll help others through my own technique. And that is, because there is different ways to get into a meditative state. I know that a lot of people consider different activities as their way of meditating because they're not in their head. But sitting down with no distractions, no like nothing outside, around you, just yourself in silence is a very different meditation practice than me just, going for a drive and thinking that, these are different, or running, and that's my form of meditating. Yes, it is. But there's a very big different. Yeah, it's different when you sit down. So what I do is, in the beginning, like now it's easier. Now, like I said to you earlier, it's a practice, and the more you do it, the better you get at it. So now it's easier. Now I have different ways to get into it. I can walk meditating at this point, but that's part of the journey, In the beginning, what I would do is focus on my body, and your body is the only thing that when you bring your focus to it, that can bring you to the present moment instantly. And that's what you want to do in meditation, is bring yourself to the present moment. That's out of your head. That is not in your head, in your thoughts, I would place a hand on my stomach. I would place another hand on my heart. That way, whenever my mind would start to go, I would then focus on my breathing and focus on my body movement. When you breathe,
and it would bring you back to the present.
And I would do that every time. Just go back to the present, go back to the present.
And you talk about like the actual specific techniques and how to get there in your ebook course.
In the course, I give you tools that I went through that I still use to this day. And eventually, the more you do it, you shift. You shift yourself. You shift your power of controlling your mind. And it works. Because it's funny, like, I know a lot of people during the journey of learning to meditate, when you've achieved it, because you're literally sitting there and you don't hear anything around you anymore. You don't hear the cars outside. You don't hear any chatter if there's people talking in the house, because you've learned to quiet yourself so deep to go straight into your body and with your spirit, and you're there, and you're meditating in that moment.
When you're meditating, what's the biggest benefit you get from it on the daily? Like, do you get a benefit right from that session, or is it like a cumulative, daily practice, and then it has just changed to who you are? Or why? Have you thought about that question?
Yeah, that's a very good question. That's why I'm like, that's a great question. So to me, meditating and the benefit of it is that it reminds you of your power, like your divinity inside. Some people use religion for this, right? That whenever they're in their everyday life, something happens and they just think about their faith, and they just think about Jesus or whatever. I remember how I feel in my experience through meditation and that connection that I felt with whatever source is, in terms of not allowing life to kind of derail you and make you anxious or make you worry or make you feel guilt or shame, like all these emotions that vibrate a little lower. So in this reality, when we're just doing our everyday thing, we can come across these certain circumstances that make us feel a little agitated. But when you learn to master meditation, you don't get agitated anymore. Of course, like, we're human, you know,
so
but
what do you
it's
do
different.
when something upsets you?
Breath work is the first thing. And like, I quiet myself. I feel
you don't
like
react.
I don't react. And Latinas, it wasn't easy, you know? I feel like
initially you just want to throw.
Yeah, and I used to be like, I definitely had my crazy Latina phase when I was younger, but I went from extreme to extreme. I had that phase, and then I shifted into this very, like, I just kept it all in, but I would still be upset, but I wouldn't say anything kind of way of handling
Unhealthy,
things.
yeah.
So unhealthy, because those are two extremes. But through this practice of learning to meditate, learning to go inside, shift your emotions, understand your emotions, I feel like I would hold them in and not let them out for various reasons. And nothing, you just learn to take a breather. Nothing's that serious.
To not suppress it now. Instead of suppressing it, to let it go.
And to not take it personal. Like, I don't take things as personal anymore, because I also see beyond what's happening. Like, any circumstance, I kind of see beyond it. I look at the bigger picture quite literally, because you hold that connection of meditation that you had earlier.
So are you talking about like different dimensions, the spiritual world? Okay, can you talk a little bit about that for somebody who's never dabbled? So I started kind of learning about the spiritual world and studying meditation for like, I want to say a little bit over a year. And it's like almost like things get more clear to me. Like things are opening up. I think I'm still on my journey.
And you find more and more. You're always learning, girl. Yes, you find more and more things.
But part of it, sometimes it's like, okay, this feels unreal. But what is real, right?
Yeah.
Like part of you starts questioning, okay, so what's reality?
Right.
100%. I'm a full believer of the power of our thought, our mind, like abundance, right? I fully believe that, but I don't know if I fully understand how it all works. Right. But I know it works, certain things, right? Yeah. And it has worked great for me in the past, and I've been able, like, thank God, like, I've been able to have the life that I have today, and I'm very happy with my life. But, like, what is it? Like, what is this other dimension or spiritual world, in your opinion, that we can dabble with different realities? Is it what we choose to believe, or what have you learned so far that you can share?
Okay, I'm going to try to explain it to you in the way that I understood
I've never tried to explain it or understand it, so I don't even know how to talk about it. No,
that was perfect. Yeah, and I feel like it's very interesting, because just all those questions you just had, I also had them when I was learning about this. I was like, this is interesting, but something's making me want to find out more. Yeah. And the more I found out, the clearer it got, honestly. Okay. So this is how I explain it to you. Your perspective of reality as Yegi and her life and what she's been through is her own reality, her own dimension. My perspective of reality and life is through Denise and her her life and my experiences. Those are two dimensions. Those are two realities. That's why they say we live in a world of multiple realities, because you're living in your own reality. I'm living in my own reality.
Because also, I guess I could see my life in this way, but you could see my
you
life
in a whole different way, because it's through my perspective. So that's what they mean when they're talking about different dimensions, different realities, and them existing right now. In terms of you, like, it goes a little deeper than that, though. So, for example, today I chose to wear this black jacket. Whatever experience that plays out for me throughout this full day is a very specific reality compared to if I would have chosen a white jacket. That's its own reality. That's already, like, whoa, okay. I know. It's very paradoxy, but if you open your perspective, you'll just... Have you ever seen the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once?
No.
You should watch that movie.
Okay.
That movie it plays out that, like, how we have different realities.
It's going to make me question a lot more.
It's going to make things clearer. Yeah, it only made things clearer for me. I feel like like, we're floating on a rock right now in the middle of outer space. How is that not magical?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I know. I've always, like, it always made sense to me because I'm a mother. So it always made sense to me the magic of birth or of a kid.
Of
like,
course.
Where the heck do they come from?
How
do they, like, who
like
are these beings?
the last time I saw you, you were in this
Very
era that I'm
single.
in. And now, now you're like 3 in, like, you're a unicorn. Women
thank
are
you. Yes.
incredible. And I'm not, I used to be like extreme feminist, and not that being in this didn't make me appreciate us even more, but I'm a little bit more lenient with these men because they need it. They need our love.
We're all human.
You know, we're all human and we need them essentially, you know, but biologically, but women, don't get me started on our power and like, because do you believe in like Egyptian goddesses and all that?
I don't know. I think in my past life, I was some sort of, I don't know, something like royalty or something.
I'm sure you were.
It always comes back to me with certain things. I can't even explain it.
Really?
But that's what it comes to me sometimes. I'm like, who was I in one lifetime? Like, I don't know
and you
if
believe
I've
in past lives?
I don't know if it's past life or like, again, different realities. I'm still trying to piece it together.
Yeah.
I like to also keep kind of the mystery of this.
Nice.
It as well, because it's almost like, why do I want to know it all? It's kind of like fun living in this fairyland of whatever I want to, like whatever I want the world to be, right? Let me believe in whatever I want to believe in that works for me. So sometimes I kind of, I guess, trick myself to live in my own little fairyland. But anyways, I lost my train of thought of why I was saying that. But yes, you asked me if I believe in like Egyptian goddesses. Like goddesses. Yeah, I believe in like goddesses and like past like different gods, like the Greek mythology. Like I mean,
and Egyptian. Yeah. Well, if you ever get interested in learning about Cleopatra, there's certain teachings with her that just teach you so many more beautiful things.
My, like,
really?
radar,
I don't know why I got pulled into that during these last few years, and that was one of the teachings that I indulged in, and it taught me so much about women and our feminine power and how incredible the feminine energy is. Males also have feminine energy within them because we're both masculine and feminine, but you're feminine, and as a feminine, reincarnated as a feminine, oh my God, you're a powerful girl. I mean, you give birth, like, you know what I mean? All of us, like, I'm like, as women, the fact that that's the only species on this planet that can give you another connected being that's connected strictly through the creator. That's a very powerful magic power.
So take us back a little bit more on your journey. So this is when you were like, okay, well, I have everything I wanted now. I'm acting, I'm doing all this, I'm on set. It's not everything I wanted it to be. Then COVID hit. It gave you time to really like dwell on that question and figure out what you want to do. And what did you do? You started searching like, what's life about? What's happiness? Like, how did you get into this? I'm like, because that's kind of what I did. I was like, what is life about? You know? It's like, how did you get into the spiritual world? And like, what intrigued you to study more about it? And what can you say? Like, you know, I think a lot of people refer to it as like being awake or waking up to our true nature, our true selves, right? So what can you say about the way you are now compared to the way you were before, and what are the like pros and cons of it?
So I definitely
have you seen change? What change have you seen in your life?
Okay, so I definitely did sit down and ask myself that question of like, what is life? But in a different way. Like, I was in meditation and I was like, okay, God, like, why are we here? And like, why is this happening with the pandemic and all that? I'm like, I have a hair in my eye. Okay. So I definitely, during the pandemic, I was like, why are we here? Why is this happening? And I sat there and I definitely got the answer. And I think that this version of myself compared to the past version that I used to be, like, she was just living for her own dreams without realizing that we're really all connected. And like, my dreams influence everyone. Like, I can't even just say, oh, my family or my kids. No, it's everyone. So what I do with my life is gonna make a mark in its own way. So
That's powerful.
I know. It was a lot. It wasn't easy to have these shifts and perspectives. Like, I never thought I was going to come. I moved across the country. My family's on the East Coast, and that was a very hard decision for me. I am very family oriented, and it was a lot. It was a huge sacrifice. I would have never thought that I was going to shift my whole career. Like, but that's what I wanted to do. Like, my intuition, my heart was telling me this is not the path anymore. And what you're doing is going to affect everyone. So what are you really doing? And
that's a deep question.
It's a deep question.
If you take that responsibility, if you take that responsibility of, my actions affect everyone, then it's like, oh, shoot.
I was doing entertainment reporting. So to put it to you a little bit more practical, I was doing entertainment reporting. I went to school. I got a degree in broadcast media. I went to school for this. This is what I genuinely wanted to do. But now I'm sitting at this network that I dreamed to work at, sitting around a table with my co-hosts, talking about some friends, some acquaintances, people who I've rubbed shoulders with, and their personal life, and the gossip, and the drama, and all of this going on in their life. That made me feel very uncomfortable. I just couldn't see that keep as going on. And the modeling industry, I can go deeper into that.
The purpose of it.
No, and what I was doing, what was I really doing? And it just wasn't really satisfying me anymore. And I wanted to shift into something that... You had a different
purpose. For some people that might be, or different versions of it, they might find the right alignment for them within those industries or careers. But for you, you felt like you had a different purpose.
100%. It was like, okay, no, that's not the dream anymore. We're shifting the dream. And that was hard. I was like, I want to be on the carpet. I want to do this.
The carpet anywhere you're at.
That's what I'm learning now. It's like you could create your own lane, and I could still do everything that I wanted to do, just in a different way.
Yes. Okay, so going back a little bit about kind of your mental well-being and how that connects to your physical well-being. So you started on this journey, right? To find your actual purpose and to actually also take care of your body and your mind. So can you share a little bit more about that experience and how it led to the creation of your ebook?
Yes. Okay, so basically, before I obviously had my routines of how I would do my self-care routines, or if I did have an activity that I knew was keeping me in shape. This is before these transitions. Of course, I always had those routines, but it definitely shifted once I started becoming extremely more conscious of what I was putting in my mouth, what I was eating, what I was drinking. That everything shifted when I started becoming more aware. So you have
adjusted your diet?
Everything.
Oh, wow.
Everything. I don't drink alcohol. I'm sober. Yeah, and it's just, you kind of get guided slowly to that. I wasn't always, I didn't think I was ever going to go sober, but it's just, I haven't touched alcohol and I don't plan to. So it's just something like that where you naturally start gravitating to healthier foods, healthier detergent, deodorant. It goes into everything. And then physically, I was always into yoga because I used to dance when I was younger. I was a dancer for around 8 years, and we in there would always do our stretches, do our yoga. But I left that practice, once I got into college, started pursuing my career. Life took over, right? Now it's a must. It's the way I keep myself in shape. So I do yoga a few times a week.
And the yoga can also connect, since you do like to meditate. It connects,
hand in hand.
Right? It opens
it's
up
hand in hand,
your
100%.
Space.
And I hike. Hiking was something that I started taking up as well. I noticed that nature was something that was fully healing me during the pandemic. Mm-hmm. I remember I would go with my roommate on these long drives, and we would just go to the beach, and I'd be like, let's go sit by the water. And we would just sit by the water, and it was so healing. And I kept that routine where I go on multiple hikes during the week. I do yoga. These are hand in hand with meditation, with being aware, connected, but it keeps you also in shape, and you're also, in that world. And these weren't practices I used to have or desired to have. So that's how it's shifted.
Since you've changed everything and shifted, you're basically another version of yourself, right? How has life changed around you? Are you happier? Are you healthier? Are you more financially free? So how has everything kind of molded once you were able to change yourself?
Definitely everything around me started to shift.
People, everything?
Yes, everything from the relationships I had with family and the relationships I had with friends to my career, obviously, to my hobbies, everything shifted, and it's still shifting, and I already know it's going to continue. Yeah, it's just, that's just the road we're on, and it's going to continue shifting because I'm going to continue shifting. Like, this is who I am today, but tomorrow it's a new version as well, at least I believe. Like you said to me earlier, like, you learn something new every day, and that's the truth.
Yes.
So I'm always going to change, so I'm expecting that.
That's kind of the exciting part of life too, right? I think sometimes we get so sucked into trying to figure out what's our purpose, what do I do? We forget to have fun along the way. We forget to just enjoy where we're at today and really like do the most we can in this today, in this version. And it's been proven to me so many times that everything really does happen for a reason, and it's literally a journey taking us onto the path that we're supposed to be on. So I think it kind of clicked to me when I finally one time I heard this saying again, and it was like, everything's happening for a reason. Yes. And at the end of it, everything's going to be fine. Yes. So if you genuinely can believe that, like if you genuinely get yourself to repeat this on the daily and believe that everything is going to be fine and it is how it is and it's how it's supposed to be, like there's a bigger picture, then we are, like there's nothing to worry about. Like your worries and fears just go away.
And it's not an easy thing. I'm definitely one that was afraid of change. So when things started shifting around me, once I noticed that I was shifting who I was, I did get scared. Really? There were parts of me that wanted to hold on.
Resist the change.
Yeah, I wanted to hold on. It was like I didn't want certain people to leave my life. I didn't want my career. Like I still had moments where I would like call my parents and I'm like crying. Like I miss my old self. I miss that life. It wasn't an easy decision to like decide to walk away from this career, but this is just
imagine,
you know, like this
especially
doesn't resonate.
When money and like lifestyle comes with it, right? That's the reality.
Though I do believe you can still have all that. Like I have multiple friends that have created that same kind of, you know, level of financial stability and exposure through their other avenues, but it was more of like I was doing it because I genuinely loved being on camera. I genuinely loved reporting. I loved conversations. I loved fashion. Like I loved that. But then I discovered so many different things, and my perspective on those things also shifted. My perspectives on these, you know, designers shifted. My perspective on, you know, the magazines and that world, all of it shifted. All of it changed for me, and that changed my world around me. It changed what now I would relate to. It changed what now I'm open to. The music I listen to. Like, so many things shifted. But for me, I'm the happiest I've ever been. Wow. I'm like, I feel like the happiest I've ever been.
We do everything to achieve happiness.
And
so
it's scary. It wasn't not scary, and it's still scary. Like, right now, in the middle of the shifts, like we were saying earlier, changes are just life. Like now I'm just
get
comfortable with changing. Yeah. And like you were saying, everything happens for a reason. There's this quote. I also am a huge believer of that, and I've always advocated for that. And then when I started indulging in meditation and quantum physics and just learning about the energy aspects of reality, everything happens for you. Like everything happens on purpose. And there's this new saying that I just related to me so much. I learned it a few years ago. It's called Amor Fati, which is Latin for love your fate. Okay. And to deeper explain the saying is, it was created by this, I don't even remember who exactly, but he was this European, I think, advocate for mental health. And he was explaining how in life, your fate is already decided. If you believe in that, I believe in destiny, I believe in fate, which is where that saying everything happens for a reason is from, you know?
So, but then if you genuinely believe in that, does that mean, like, Well, I guess it takes the worry part away of it. I like that
That's
part
where
of
I
it.
was,
But
yes.
then does it also make you lazy? Like, why am I even going to work so hard today? I'm going to end up where I'm destined to end up anyways.
No, I think that has to do with your personality trait. Like, I am very, how do I explain it? I am a very strong advocate of following your inspired action. Rather than just doing, I only follow my inspired action, what my intuition. So your inspired action is what your intuition inspires you to do rather than what your mind is telling you have to do. Your mind is going to tell you need to go get up and do 100 things when in reality you should have sat down and not done any of them. But if you're not listening to your intuition and you're just trying to listen to your mind, you're going to, you know, that's where burnout comes from, anxiety, all these emotions that unfortunately we have had to deal with. So it's like, that has to do with your personality trait. Like, are you connected to yourself? Are you giving yourself excuses?
The intuition part is comes a lot with knowing yourself, and it does come
work.
with it comes with the meditate. Like, some people get more intuitive as they meditate because you connect more to yourself. But
you open your chakras.
Yes, and some people naturally are more intuitive for whatever reason, or some people have to work really hard to get in touch with that. So I think I don't know what I was listening to, but somebody said like we're all born with really high intuitions. Then
I believe we're all born mediums, like psychic media.
Wow.
I swear, I promise. I feel like we're all very gifted, but life happens and you do get literally blocked emotionally, physically, in all aspects. That's something quantum physics taught me.
And literally since like I've been learning and these things have been appearing for me to like consider or learn about, I've been examining my kids because they're all tiny and my youngest is 6 months old, so babies, you know, they're like clean slate. So I've been just like examining, like, this is the natural state of a being. It's just very interesting. You know, like they don't care about anything.
They're present. They don't have any perspective of time. They have a pure soul. They're fully connected to God or source or the creator, the universe, whatever you want to label it.
They're just happy.
Children are magical.
Yes,
like, they're
and
magical.
literally the time thing, because one of the things with kind of learning about meditation, which led me to the spiritual world, which led me into like thinking or learning about quantum physics. That's what it was like. Okay, time does not exist. Dang, like that's such a weird concept. Like, how does time not exist? Like, I have clocks, you know, like I'm getting all there, but and then it's like, no, everything's perspective. But I'm still trying to wrap my head around like all these concepts. But then again, when I was observing my tiny kids and my baby, it's like, to them it doesn't exist.
They don't know 2 p.m. They don't know we have soccer at 5. They just know that I'm getting dressed for soccer and I'm gonna be taken to soccer.
And it's like they're tired, they sleep. They sleep. Like, there's no rules really. They just listen to their bodies. So it's interesting, definitely.
Yeah.
So we just jumped right into the questions because I had, you know, I was eager to get to know you again now. But I always like asking some random questions to my guests just to get to know you better in different perspectives. So I had some icebreaker questions prepared for you, and we're gonna just do this backwards. If you can have unlimited supply of one thing in the world for the rest of your life, what would that one thing be and why? You could take a minute to think about it.
Oh God. Is it, but wait.
One thing.
Is it a person, place, or thing? Does it have to be a specific?
You can pick any of it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Supply, but I guess it can't be a person because it's a thing.
It has to be a thing?
Yeah.
So it has to be a physical thing. Okay.
You can twist it to a spiritual thing if that's what you want.
A supply that I can have for the rest of my life. Okay, let me think real quick. I'm like trying to be practical. Something.
The first thing
that can
it could
use.
be fun. No, it could be fun. It's first thing that comes to mind. So these fun questions, icebreakers, is first thing that comes to mind. It doesn't have to be practical.
Okay.
It could be candy if that's what you love.
Whoa. Okay. I don't know why I thought about crystals.
There you go.
I'm like healing crystals if I could have them around me forever.
Supply of
Unlimited amount.
Always.
I just want crystals all over me.
That's the first one. Okay, so talking about crystals.
Yes.
Again, you know, in the past I thought like this is taboo. People just sell these, do these like to make money, right? Like, and then again being introduced. So I got into meditation because I would get my de-stressor from working out and running. So I would de-stress like that.
Okay.
When I got pregnant, first time, second time, third time, I was always high risk pregnant, so I was supposed to take it very easy. Right. So I didn't have any more outlet to kind of like de-stress and let go. And again, my version of being like present and letting go of every other thought was working out, running. So that's when I was like, okay, what else is out there? I need a new tool. That's how I started learning about meditation. And any successful people I would interview or learn about, read their books, they all meditated, but I didn't know what that meant. So I was like, okay, it's time to learn about meditation. So that's kind of how I learned about it. And then again, it led to all these things, and I'm still learning. I still don't know like what I really believe in. I'm still figuring it out. But again, crystals was another thing. I was reintroduced to it because of the meditation, and how it can have like different powers. It can absorb or release or have different effects. So what are your thoughts since it came up? What are your thoughts about crystals? And these are like natural things from the earth. Literally crystals. Have you ever seen the videos of them discovering them? No, I haven't.
Oh my God. They're like, no, I'm going to show you. Don't worry. They're magical. It's like, I've never seen anything like it. It's as if you take these mountains that are all around us and you start like drilling and taking chunks of the rock, and on the other side are these crystals. Like every single type that it's, I'm like, if you've seen these, some crystals are just
breathtaking.
Literally.
You don't even know why. Like, they're just beautiful.
Are they not? And you go into these stores, and to think that this came from inside of a rock, just from Mother Nature, that's pretty powerful, you know?
I never thought about it like that.
Okay, so that's how I started acknowledging it and learning. When I started getting indulged in using crystals, I'm not one of those that just picks up and does. I need to know why. Why am I using this? Why is it important? How is it going to help? And I learned so much about them. That's part of the divinity to help me believe more, is where they come from, the origin, right? They come from Mother Nature. That's number one. Number two, everything around us has a consciousness. If you believe in that, like if you speak to your water, it will hear you. You can change the crystals in your water by the words you're speaking. It's proven. There's been scientific experiments.
And and is that like the same experiments with like the plants and how they grow if you like talk to them?
Exactly. So the same thing with a crystal. Crystals are, all of them come from a specific part of Earth. That's why they have a specific power that they can help you with. What it means is, it's not this superficial power, it's just the energy that it has attached to it because of where it comes from. That energy attaches
to such a whole different world. Like,
it's
honestly,
a whole different
if you don't
world.
know about any of this and you've never like learned or talked about it, at first it feels so foreign, you know, like taboo. Almost even like talking about God. It's like, it's such a weird topic because we just don't openly talk about it as much.
We never got taught. You know what crystals were? I taught myself. I read a lot of books, and then I got indulged into them, and then I felt certain experiences with them that I was like, okay, this is real.
Give an example. I'm curious.
Okay, the very first experience I had with a crystal that I was like, okay, there's something here that is of substance of what people are relating these to in terms of what they help you with. I used rose quartz. Rose quartz is the pink crystals. Have you seen them?
Oh my God, no, but I do have one in my nightstand. I have no idea how we got there. Oh my God. I'm not a crystal person. I don't know much about it. I think somebody gave it to me, or I bought it. We were on a trip or vacation somewhere, and we came across like in a shop, and somebody told me like, get this one, and then it's just
universal.
And I have no idea what it means.
Okay.
I have no idea what it is, but it's been there, so maybe it's doing something.
It definitely is. It definitely is. You don't even need to do as much as you think you need to do for them to help you, is what I've learned. But a rose quartz, there's plenty of other pink crystals as well. It's not just a rose quartz, but this is the one I had that experience with, where rose quartz is a pink crystal that helps you with unconditional love. It helps you open up your heart chakra. It helps you attract loving situations to you. And just be grounded.
Everything I'm all about.
Everything you're all about. That's what I was like, what do you mean? It makes the perfect sense. So that's what a rose quartz is for. Wow. So if you feel like you're stuck in an area of your love life in every way, whether it's family, where you have like a tough relationship with someone in your family, or a significant other, or just you're trying to be more loving, like whatever it is, you use rose quartz when you're meditating. How do you use them? You can put them around you. You can hold them. You can put them in water and infuse your water with the crystal. You can do it whatever you want. I had 2 rose quartz in my hand. I sat down in Indian style and I went into meditation with the intention to heal my heart, love, just unconditional love, which is very specific, you know, emotion.
Like you wanted to be able to give unconditional
Both.
love? Okay.
Give and receive, you know, because I do believe it's a mirror. So if you're not open, you're not going to be able to get it. So I had rose quartz in my hands. I sit down in meditation and I get into meditation. Number 1, I for sure astral traveled in terms of just my mind. Oh, it just I went and experienced a whole other reality, like very deep into what people talk about past lives and whether time's an illusion. I experienced it fully.
You did? Okay. Yeah, I've never been in that state, but I've read about it.
Yeah, you read Lucid Dreaming. Okay.
Yes.
So definitely went into that state with these crystals in my hand. Experienced a whole other reality in my love life that brought so much clarity to my current self in terms of why I dealt with love the way I was dealing with it in this moment or in that moment. This was a few years ago.
So you do believe we're connected into our like past lives
100%.
And like part of our personality or who we are is because of that, and we have no idea.
Exactly.
Or most people have no idea.
Right. 100%. I had no idea that I had gone through what I had gone through, that I was emotionally attached to it.
It's part of you now.
And it was part of me now. It was coming out in the way that I was handling my emotional relationships. So I had that whole experience. And then when I came back into like consciousness in this moment, my hands were so hot, Yegi.
Oh my
So hot from these crystals.
Gave me goosebumps.
Yeah, and I know that there was like your palms, there's an energy point right here that's very sensitive. It's like it all works together. It's all connected.
Wow.
Yeah, it's real. I only believe because I've experienced as well. And I know that, you know, you should, in terms of manifesting, believe before you see it, because that's how it manifests. But in spirituality and these kind of things that we're talking about, when it's due to meditation.
So do you think maybe like the core, the crystals and all these things, do you think it works because we believe in it, right? Because, okay, so what most people are comfortable with now is the law of attraction, manifesting, affirmations, right? So that those things kind of became more, it's normal, right? And we could talk about it, and they're comfortable with it. But these other things we're talking about, the spiritual world, quantum physics, crystals, is still very foreign. But they are definitely connected in some way. Yeah. Right? But do you think that these things work because that's what we believe in?
No,
I think it's really just part of the
I think it's part of Earth. It's part of our experience here. It's like karma. If you do something negative, you will receive that back in some way or another, whether you believe in karma or not. Karma is real. Yeah, same thing.
Like one of the universal laws.
It's one of the universal laws. I feel like it's the same thing with crystals, and I feel like meditation, quantum physics, all of these things are substances of our universe that you have to indulge in to then believe in. You know, like if you don't experience the deep meditative state, you're like, meditation isn't real or whatever.
Kind of what we talked about, right? We see our realities, like that was kind of the intro. We see our realities how we choose to see them. Yes. So maybe if we choose to see with a different lens. I think one thing I was reading that made sense to me in like today's physical world of how you think about like the quantum world. Yes. And again, I still don't know what I believe in yet. I'm still learning. Right. But so what I read is, for people who consume wine, like wine consumers, if you don't know what you're looking for some people, like there's wine connoisseurs who will be like, this is a great wine, or this has X, Y, and Z in it. I know it. It's been aged for whatever. It's been in an oak barrel, or they know like all these details about wine because they're aware of it and they know what to look for. They are experiencing it. But for somebody like me, let's say, I don't know much about it. all the wines are pretty much going to taste the same to me. But once I learn about what I'm looking for, which means, again, now I'm open and aware to what I'm looking for, I'm going to see it. I'm going to taste those differences. So, and I mean, that's like something, actually, if I were to experiment that, I'm sure it's going to become true. And that's kind of how they compare. That's how they kind of make the average person understand, like, we don't see what we don't know, I guess, and that's kind of the quantum physics or that spiritual world.
Though it's more like, remember, with how I explained karma to you, like whether you're aware of it or not, it's still there. So if you don't believe in crystals, or you don't believe that they have some kind of healing power to them,
but since it's been in my nightstand,
it's
been
still
doing
healing
something.
you. It's still gonna do what it needs to do. And if you do a Reiki healing session, which is when you go to an expert and they use crystals to heal your energetic frequency, it'll do its job.
So let's talk about energy, right?
Yes.
It came up.
My favorite topic.
I know. I love energy too. And this again, I got in like energy. I just know it because I know it. I feel it. Like I've been in the past, like there's been people around me where I was like, I'm mad. I'm so mad. And I don't even know why I'm mad, because I'm absorbing or feeling like somebody else's energy. And I didn't know what was happening. Recently, I realized this is what's happening. It's other people's energy that is messing with mine. Why am I so absorbent? Like, how do I protect my energy? So, but I don't know. I didn't really look into it or do anything much about it besides like making sure the people I have around me are the people that are making me feel good, positive energies, right? So, but if there is somebody next to me, let's say you're having a horrible day, I'm gonna feel it. I don't know why it works that way, but
there's
I know
a way to
it does
protect yourself. Yeah.
But let's talk about energy. So what is energy? And again, recently, I study and always keep up with how to be successful, which comes in all aspects. And because I'm an entrepreneur, I'm in the business world. I need money. Like, I love money. Like, I hate to say it, but I do love money.
We need money to survive. So I agree. I feel you. Same here.
Yes. I love money. I love everything, but it's not the number one priority to me, but I do love it. I want a lot of it. So I do always keep up with all the new things. And again, now, like, combining the spiritual world, and that's kind of what I've been studying a little bit lately, and the law of attraction, and also like the energy and the frequency you need to be in to even attract more money. It's been very intriguing. So I've been listening to stuff about or reading about stuff like that. So what are your thoughts about energy and the frequencies we're on? Is it real in your opinion, or is it just, again, we just believe it, that's why it works?
Right. No, I definitely feel like, even what you were explaining earlier, being able to feel others' energy and that shifting yours, literally I was experiencing that all my life until I recognized that, oh, this is what's happening. And when I did that research, I came across, have you heard the term empath?
I've heard of it. That means like you can channel other people's...
No, what you just explained, that you pick up on other people's energies. I believe we're all empaths, if I'm fully honest with you. I just think, again, like we were saying earlier, some of us are more blocked, some of it... Yeah, I believe we are all intuitive. That's what an empath is that you're more highly sensitive to energies. I believe we all are, but there's other people that can tap into it a little, like you were explaining, how you felt her anger or his anger. Same. There's ways, though, that you protect yourself, and that it comes through the teaching of how to protect your energy. Energy is very real. It's everything. It's all there is, essentially.
And that's why, honestly, we feel it. Sometimes when we're around, people are like, oh my God, I feel so good.
Yeah,
like,
and it's everything.
And I feel so good, or vice versa.
No, like... Animals have energy. Everything has energy. Everything
like your cup of tea.
Everything. The trees. Everything is energy. And that's what in the teaching also you learn, is that once you dissolve all of these things, what do they turn into? Energy. If you take yourself out of like this room, there's this technique in meditation that I learned where it's like you sit in meditation and you become aware of your room, the room I'm in, right? And then you put yourself in the house you're in, and you take your mind to that perspective. Then you take yourself to the perspective of yourself in the neighborhood. And then you take yourself to the perspective of the city, and you just keep literally zooming out.
Yes, I've seen that.
Have you heard of it? Okay, and that helps you just then understand why they say we're just energy.
Yeah.
You know? So,
yeah,
so I believe 100%. I know that there's techniques you can use. I go about into in the ebook course of how you can protect your energy, because there's necessary steps that you should take to protect your energy outside of just surrounding yourself with people who you feel make you feel good. It's life. We all have bad days. We're human beings. So you are going to come across, whether it's at the grocery store, on vacation, at the mall, you're going to come across difficult energies, but there's a way to protect yourself. There's a way where you don't need to intake it, where you can observe and not absorb.
What's a quick summary of that? How do you do it? I know you go in depth in your ebook, right?
Yes.
Okay,
in the ebook course, I give you tools. Yeah, I give you tools in the ebook course of how to do that. For me personally, what I found immediately that helped me do it is through prayer. There's a specific prayer that you can say out loud or to yourself that automatically
and this prayer
will shield
is not attached to any religion, right?
It's not attached to any religion, but it is attached to a saint. It is Saint Michael, who I pray to in that moment, because he is the angel that is specifically attached to protection and shielding you with the violet flame. This is something that you believe in because of the color. It's attached to a chakra. It's deep,
more
you know?
okay.
Yeah, but
more to it than I thought.
A little bit. But words carry frequency and it'll influence energy. So when you speak into yourself, whether it's in your head or out loud, you will create a shield. If you say right now, I need protection, you will immediately have protection. Again, that has to do with your belief, but I believe that we're all surrounded by angels 24/7. We all have angels that protect us. So you say to them what you need.
Like, help me.
So your word, right. Your word is very powerful, and also your awareness. If I stay grounded in my energy while still being aware of your energy, but staying grounded in mine and not absorbing yours, that will help me. But you need to stay conscious of that.
So like the stronger connected you are with yourself and your energy, the more likely you'll be able to protect it and control
your energy, control theirs.
And I guess that's why people also say, you know, like, be careful what you say.
Yes.
Sometimes, like, it becomes true, like, careful what you wish for. You know, there's sometimes these things, like, we say we don't even know why, like, the whole, like, backstory. But the more I, like, think about it and look into it, it's like, oh man, this is like all goes back into like ancient teachings.
Yes, they were always
spirituality, and
very
like,
aware of that.
What happens? Like, do we just like reset? Like, as
basically,
beings? Like, what happens?
I
like,
mean,
people figure this out, and then it's like we're thrown to reset. Like, it's kind of crazy, but sometimes those thoughts come into my mind. I'm like, are we getting like so advanced now, where we're just gonna go poof, and it's like a game, you know? Like, we reset. I don't know.
I mean, I definitely feel like it has to do with, you know, just people in power resetting literally history. Like, we've been taught certain things on purpose. You know, we don't get taught these things. We kind of get taught something specific to keep us on a specific path.
Definitely interesting times. I feel like more and more people are dabbling in like science is talking about like the quantum physics and like the spiritual
many more
world
people
connected. So let's see how things turn out. So it's very interesting.
Listen, I have a plan of when I have children, God willingly, with the universe on my side, I will create also my own version of mini schools where I can teach children how to connect so that they can. I always
wanted to have like schools, not necessarily for spirituality, but I always wanted to have some sort of schools for children to teach them how to be successful.
You should.
In like all aspects of life.
Think about it. At the essence of it, all of us should be teaching if we can, because again, these aren't things that were taught to us. So if I wasn't taught meditation, I wasn't taught how to connect, how to use my powers for the good when I was younger, when it's the best time because you're raw, you're just the best little shushish, the most magical unicorns, then when were you going to learn it? At adulthood, it's very difficult to learn it at this time. So I was like, okay, there has to be schools that have to be developed that we could teach them young. And that's essentially the plan. And that will change the generations.
Wow. Very deep. Well, I hope the world goes towards, that direction.
Amen.
And more people are happy
Same.
and thriving
Right.
and living in their own purpose.
Exactly. That's the point.
Such a different world.
That's the point. Yeah.
So we are running short on time. So I want to make sure I pick your brain a little bit about your wellness ebook. So tell us a little bit about it. What is it for somebody who just comes across it? What is it?
So basically, I developed this ebook course. It's specifically on enhancing your self-awareness. So if you're on a journey in your life where you feel like you're working on your mental health, your emotional health, and you want to become more self-aware to like change it, transmute it, and learn to manifest.
So what does even being self-aware mean? I know I've heard that term because I've been dabbling into it, but if somebody who has never heard that term, what does it mean to be self-aware? Like, I know myself, I'm aware of myself, like, what does that mean?
So self-aware, in my definition and how I relate it to the course, is the art of really learning how you react to life, like how you respond to your emotions, how you respond to people, how you respond in tough situations, how you respond in happy situations.
Like you took your time to get to know yourself.
Self-aware, to become aware of myself, but not only my physical self, but my emotional self, my soul level self. Okay. So if you're on that journey where you're trying to just learn a little deeper about who you are and how you can use it to manifest, and how you can use it to create the world around you, then you would get the course. That's what the course is going to teach you how to do. I went through my own journey of that, and then I developed it throughout that journey. I would like go into meditation and journal right after. And then I would go back days after when I was being triggered or going through something, and I would read my journals. And I noticed there were tools, like there were how-tos, little, bulletin points almost.
So do you feel like that was like the message from the universe?
Yeah, it was my connection.
Supposed to like create this for.
Well, I mean, yes and no. When I was there in journaling, I do automatic writing. I don't know if you've heard of that. Have you heard of automatic writing? So automatic.
Just like write whatever comes to your mind, or.
No, so automatic writing is a psychic trance that you fall into when you're journaling. It can happen to some of us where you just write and you're not really aware of what you're writing, but you are there consciously. Yeah. So I would go back and reread when I was in these trances, and there were these tools of how I could reprogram my mind or feel happier or anything. So I put the book together and I created the course so I can give it to you guys as well.
Well, thank you for doing that. I'm very intrigued to learn more about it.
I'll send it to you.
Thank you. And so that was your developing process.
Yes. I went back and I reread these journals. I was like, there's so much material in here. I already started writing a book in 2020, but this is like a mini version of that. It's more of a quicker version.
What inspired you to even turn it into a guided tool, of course?
Well, I thought of when I could launch the actual book I had been writing, and that book isn't done yet. So, which is a little sneak peek for you guys. That is coming, a physical book. But because it wasn't done yet, I felt like I wanted to put something out because there has been a few years that I've been on this journey, and I've seen the changes that it has caused in me.
This was ready to come out.
Yeah, so there was certain material in what I had already written that was ready to be published, and that is what I included in the course. And I'm working on the audio version. So the audio version is coming out, self-narrated.
Is it kind of like a guided book, like you read and then you take action, or is it just more like learning, educational?
Both. So in the book, I give you certain assignments, like ask yourself these questions and with the hopes that you'll answer them or take your time aside to answer them. So it's kind of both.
All right. Awesome. Yeah. And what was the process of creating it?
So it took me a few months to go through all the journals that I had written throughout these few years, to then get the material and then sit in meditation, get guided with the chapters and what the actual ebook course was going to be. I just learned that I needed to connect for everything, whether that was through praying or meditating. That is where I would always find my answers. So I would always just go into meditation, get the chapters. So a few months of doing all that, I had saying it very gratefully, friends who own studios that I was able to just call and ask to help create it. And yeah, I would like sit in the studio and just write. And then I created the ebook course, and then now I just started, or I finished it already, the recording for the audio version.
Congratulations,
so, yeah,
that's amazing.
Thank you. So yeah, it was a few months of creating it and just piecing it together.
Okay, so before I ask you our final questions, you mentioned manifesting. So I know a lot of people want to be effective manifestors. So now more and more people believe in manifesting, law of attraction, say what you want, you can create it, right? It's more like talked about. Yeah. So what is your process of manifesting? So let's say such a physical item. Let's say you want this car, for example. How would you go about manifesting?
Okay, so the main rule that I want to leave you guys with, you manifest what you are. You don't manifest what you want. What that means is that you manifest the energetic frequency that you are currently vibrating on rather than the desire. So if I wanted a car, I have to put myself in the energy of the version of Denise, that version of Denise that already has the car. So how does she feel? How does she act? How does she think? How does she move? How does she dress? How does she smell? Everything. So I go through that. I sit myself in meditation. And if I wanted a specific car, which I've done it, you know, in the past and in the future, I've sat there and just embodied her, embodied how she thought.
Like, who do you need to be to have this car?
Who is she? Because she exists. Essentially, if I believe in quantum physics and I believe that there's another reality, which I do, that she already is experiencing the car, how does she feel?
So interesting.
Yeah, so that's
what. How do I become her?
Exactly. You just have to embody her, the energy of her. So that's when you manifest. You manifest what you are, not what you want. So I can affirm that I have this car all day long. I could go drive the car, but I do that as well. There's different aspects of it. But if you only do one part, you're not gonna you need to do every single part. The psychology, the physical, the emotional. Everything is connected.
Can you give us an example of what you recently manifested that worked for you?
Okay.
Or what has been frustrating you that you haven't been able to manifest?
I mean, honestly, the course. Like, if I'm completely honest with you, the course is something that I never thought I was gonna want. But I started seeing a lot of promotion of digital products, and a lot of creators were coming across my platforms of digital products they had created. And I was like, okay, well, I would want an ebook course. Like, I would want a mini version of this book I'm manifesting for them in a, way that they could access it no matter what. And I started envisioning like her, like the Denise that wrote it, that published it. Where did she publish it? Like, what do I need to find out? What do I need to do? Connect to the resources in the 3D. You got to get very detailed with manifesting. That's how you attach it to you. So the details, I go to my senses when I think of details. So smell, taste, touch, what is it here? All of those. Tap into all of it when you're trying to manifest.
So how you would feel once this is published or once people are buying
What would I hear from people? Oh my God, I'm so proud of you, and you would, write that I'm so happy that people love my digital product, or you affirm it.
You do it in the present, not like when people buy it. I think that's also something that's been very kind of misleading or hard for me to understand. It's like, okay, if I'm trying to manifest this car, again, since that was the example, I'm not saying, oh, I'm going to feel so happy when I have it. Instead of when I have it in the future, we're feeling that now.
You feel that now because think about it like this. The version of you that already is driving that car is not feeling, oh, I'm gonna feel this one. No, she feels it. Yeah. So feel that now, and that's where the work comes in, though, because manifesting people are like, oh, it's taboo because there's no work. There's work. The work is just unseen. It's not the physical work. It's your mental, your perspective, the way you feel. Like, how does she feel right now? Because if I had the car right now, this is how I would feel.
And if it was easy, everybody would have everything they want, right?
Exactly. Exactly. It's not easy. You got to put in the work. And there's resources. There's courses like, my ebook course. There's multiple free content around videos, YouTube video. You can learn this. It's just you have to
put in the work and learn it. Awesome. Well, it's been so interesting talking to you, and I can talk for hours, but we are officially out of time. So before I let you go, can you please tell our listeners where can they find you and your last words of encouragement?
Of course. So you can find me across all my socials as Denise.Rodri, and the last words of encouragement.
Yes.
Stay unique. You were created one of one for a reason.
Beautiful. I love that. Well, again, thank you so much.
Thank
and
you
thank you
for
to our
having me.
listeners for tuning in. Yes. And until next time.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening. Please rate and review this podcast. Follow and engage with us on social media under the Yegi Project. And if you're interested in being a guest, email info@theyegiproject.com. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes.